Welcome everyone to the WCG 2019 Crossfire Grand Finals here live from Xi'an, China. Jason Kaplan joined by the handsome man to my left-hand side, your right-hand side on your screen, my longtime friend, acquaintance, frenemy, Blue. How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. It's glad to be back. Well, glad to be here with you, of course. And
I hope so.
You know, it's going to be fun, right? This is the first WCG in quite a few years, and we've got quite a spectacle here for the folks at home. We've got a really cool stage behind us here. This isn't even the main stage yet as well. You know, when we see that big one, that's going to be really cool to witness.
Oh, we walked in yesterday and we're like, okay, so here's the main stage, and then we're told, no, not the main stage. The main stage actually, I know you guys can't see it on camera. This is a giant airplane hangar, basically. It fills the entire airplane hangar, and we'll be actually switching over to that later on today to check out and obviously cast our last match of the day. But we'll be bringing you 3 matches today for Crossfire. There'll still be matches played throughout the entire day today, and then day 2 we'll be bringing you even more of the matches, and the final day it'll be the finals for us on Saturday for the first. Oh my gosh, the semifinals, the 2 semifinals, the grand final, and of course the 3rd place match as well. But this is going to be interesting, I feel like, because we have obviously such a long history when it comes to Crossfire in general when it comes to esports, especially like in the eastern side of the world, where it's such a main staple of esports for this region. And we have China, the powerhouse like region for this game in particular. But the problem is, when we saw them play at Crossfire Stars 2018, China crumbled very harshly, actually, to the Brazilians, who ended up winning the entire thing, the Black Dragons, which will actually be here today.
Yeah, and you know, besides that, we only saw the Chinese teams. It was really just Super Valiant was the only team to make it through even into the playoffs, which that was the first time we really ever had that, because normally it's usually dominated by the Chinese team. So a pretty different affair from what I heard from Kyle, who's one of our casters, is going to be joining us later on today as well. We were seeing, he was telling us that the Chinese teams were doing a lot of work in between Crossfire Stars in this event, and as such we'll have to see if they're going to bring a lot more firepower to the table this time and retake their crown.
And we'll be taking a look at the overview of the entirety of this event, not just Crossfire, because we have so many different games being played here today and over the course of the next couple of days. Starts today, ends the 21st as well, and we're at the I'm not even going to try to say it, to be honest, because I don't want to butcher it. If you want to, feel free.
The Xi'an International Conference and Exhibition Center.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Hopefully I didn't butcher it. Apologies.
You might have a little bit, but it's fine. But we obviously have so many different games here. StarCraft, Clash Royale, Hearthstone, Warcraft 3, Dota 2, Crossfire. There's so many matches being played, and to be honest, this is honestly like one of the most insane events, because you have not only the Chinese casters here and like a ton of pairs for every game, but you also have all the English casters as well for all these different games at the same time. Like right now, across from us, we can see Dota. I think we have some Hearthstone in there as well. I know on the main stage we have some Hearthstone going down at the same time. Like, there's everyone working really hard here to pull off this entire event.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And as you can see, we've got the format here specifically for the Crossfire event. We're going to be starting out with a round-robin group stage that'll be played. You need to win 10 out of 18 rounds is the normal Crossfire rule set, and the top teams will be making their way forward, if they clear, of course, in the top of their group to the semifinals, where they'll play through that on Saturday.
Yeah, most importantly, it's the best of 1 round robin.
Yeah.
And we know how best of 1s goes in any game. Doesn't matter what genre it is or what game it is in particular. It can be very hectic. It can be very tough to be able to perform well on, because best of 1s, it's almost a roll of the dice at some points, because it comes down to, like, are you playing well that day on that map? But we're going to see for all these teams, and again, you can't really afford to lose too many matches if you want to make it through. You have to make top 4 out of these 8 teams to make it through into the final day.
And it's very tough matches, especially when you consider how short Crossfire games tend to be. They're only like 20 minutes or so this is a lot of adjustment teams need to do on the fly, not a lot of time in between rounds to adjust strategies.
See, that's the thing that I really like, though. I like and hate at the same time. I like it because it forces you to make those adaptations like mid-game and to be really quick in your thinking, but also makes it like really tough if you're getting smashed as a team to like have that moment to like, all right, let's take a breather, let's figure something out, let's figure out what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and try to punish that. And I feel like the teams who can think the quickest and adapt the quickest are the teams that should succeed.
Yeah, and we're going to see if that will be the case, of course, as we'll have quite a few of our teams highlighted today. The first two we're going to be taking a look at as well are like some of the top teams back from Crossfire Stars, including the winner of it, if I recall correctly, as well. It's going to be stepping up to the plate. So we'll get a nice little preview of how they've been doing in the last actually a little bit longer. That's like 7 or 8 months now since they took the crown at Crossfire Stars and made history, actually, for Crossfire.
500 grand. I think if you look at the prize pool as well, it's 80 grand for first place. Actually, Crossfire and I believe it's Dota 2 have the highest prize pools at this event as well. And I know you guys, from like the Western world, might be looking at this like, you're not expecting Crossfire to have such a big amount of prize money behind it, but that's because how big Crossfire is. And we're actually seeing the Black Dragons here walk on stage, as you mentioned before, the crowning champions of Crossfire Stars 2018, and their opponents, all gamers. And like you said, we've heard from Kyle, the Chinese teams are battling it out. They are really taking the time to improve and become better. And we're going to see if the Brazilian Stars, the Brazilian Dragons, can defend that title.
I like the flags.
Yeah.
Nice little,
I do.
Nice little ceremonial exchange.
Because it's about the regions clashing. It's not about individual teams. It's about Brazil versus China right now, and we're going to see how the Brazilians will do. They actually, funny enough, they did meet at Crossfire Stars 2018 in like the group stage, in like the round robin stage, and they lost against All Gamers 10-5.
It was actually really interesting. If you recall from CFS 2018 overall, Black Dragons had a really weird run because the first day of the group stage, they started out terrible. Actually, like, we're dropping matches left and right. I think the one against All Gamers was one of the ones that they dropped. But as they went into the later stages of day one and the later group stages and obviously the playoffs, they really made a massive turnaround almost suddenly and were able to just sweep through the bracket and take complete control of the tournament at the end of the day. It was really cool to see happen.
I'm curious if All Gamers are actually like the pinnacle of China Crossfire, because yeah, they did beat Super Valiant in the regional qualifiers to get here. Yes, in a best of one. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be hands down the best team from China. But this is one of the top teams. You cannot even argue against that. But going up against Black Dragons first, as we're saying before, you cannot really afford to lose too many matches today. Going up against the defending champions is a tough battle. And if you want to start off strong in the tournament, this is your day to do it.
Yeah, generally speaking, All Gamers was the team that we expect to pull through and usually take the crown at a lot of these international Crossfire events. At the end of the day, though, they were the team that were upset the hardest and got knocked out before they even made it to the playoff stage at Crossfire Stars 2018. So they have a lot more to prove here at WCG if they want to retake their position as one of, if not the, top team in this game. We've got the roster right here in front of us now. ZQ, 70kg, Uo, LXM, and TMQQ representing All Gamers this time here at WCG.
I'm going to be looking at 70 kilograms in particular. 70 kg we'll call him, just because he's the sniper for the team. And going on to our first map of Blackwood, it's going to be very important to have that strong sniper in your team, that strong sniper that you can really depend on within your own roster. He'll be up against Vienna 1 on the other side for the Black Dragons. And you know, the AWM, we know how powerful sniper rifles can be in any FPS game. Having that solid player, especially on a map that's so well known in Crossfire, that you need to have that strong start.
We're also going to be starting out on Black Widows, so it should be comfortable footing for most of these teams too, as their first round matches, and that's going to make for a little bit more familiar playstyle. It's also a map which layout plays pretty heavily into snipers as well, so you'll see a lot of success probably picked up through that. As here we now have the Brazilian team as well, the champions of Crossfire Stars 2018. It's the Black Dragons. They're back once again, looking to take another hefty purse to send home.
Yeah, we got a Drift, Xi'an, Danimals, Notson, and Will going to be on their lineup. And like, have you ever you've done an event in Brazil before, right?
What's up?
You've done an event in Brazil, right?
Yeah, correct.
So you know how crazy the crowd, like the fans can be when it comes to supporting their local teams in esports events. And I almost guarantee people at home are going to be watching this as well, rooting for them. I mean, they won 500 grand at Crossfire Stars 2018. They can have a chance to win a lot of money here. But I think besides the money, it's important for them to show that they're still a dominant team.
It's important as well. Just, I mean, if you watch the winners interview from these guys when they won Crossfire Stars back in 2018, it was such a huge deal for them to be able to take a trophy like that, you know, a world title home to Brazil. Crossfire is a pretty large game in Brazil. It's got a pretty thriving player base as far as I know there as well, so it means a lot for these players to be able to take that. They've got a lot of fans back home, and they certainly don't want to disappoint them now on the second run through and their second attempt to take a championship in a row here.
Especially against the Chinese teams, more importantly. I mean, they did lose to All Gamers, yes, 10-5 in the group stage, but they did go on to beat Super Valiant 2-1 in the semifinals, so they've shown that they can beat these Chinese teams and take home the title. They actually went on to play against RU Legends in the grand finals, which is actually going to be here as well. And if you're not familiar with CF, like, these players have been around for a long time, like a really long time, grinding this game out. Like we talk about like any other FPSs, and people are still learning new things about the game. I feel like with how long CF's been out, it's really hard to do that nowadays. You pretty much know every single spot on the maps. You know where you can wallbang, where you can't. You know where you need to flash, where you need to grenade. And I think a lot of mind games is going to come into this, to be able to like read into what the enemy team is doing and be able to use that to your advantage. But it's going to be very tough, especially in a best-of-1 format, especially in round robin, especially realizing there's only 10 rounds to win, 9 on each half. You don't have much time to adjust, especially with the times between rounds. So it's going to be a very tough game, I think, for both these teams and for all teams participating today.
Yeah, like we were saying before, obviously very short form matches here for Crossfire. If you guys haven't seen it before, it's very similar to some other games in the market, but at the end of the day, you play 9 rounds on each side, the Blacklist being the side that attacks, Global Risk being the side that defends. 2 sites that the Blacklist can choose to take their bomb towards and try to plant it there. And then at the end of the day, Obviously, you'll just repeat that process over 9 rounds before you switch sides, and it's 10 rounds to win, 10 rounds to take the victory here, and obviously gain 3 points for the round-robin stage. Push yourself closer and closer to a spot in the semifinals.
You know, you might be watching the stream and you might not be a Brazilian fan, you might not be a Chinese fan, but we also have other teams here from other regions. We should maybe talk about them, or at least mention them. We have Carbon from the US, going to be participating in this one with a little bit of a mixed-up lineup, though. It's not exactly the same players they've been playing in throughout the Elite League throughout this last season. We got Golden 5 from Germany, which is like a mix between Penta Esports and Flipside. And you have like 2 in-game leaders and 2 in-game leader snipers on the team, which is going to be rough at how they organize who's going to be the calling, who's going to be sniping within the team. You got Pacific Macta from the Philippines participating as well, a long-standing team. You have a team from Indonesia called Trust that's kind of newly formed. Like, these are players who've been playing for a long time, but we don't really know what to expect out of them when it comes to playing here in this tournament.
And they're probably the most dangerous. As you were mentioning before, a lot of these players are incredibly long-standing.
Yeah.
And they've been a part of the Crossfire community for probably close to 10 years at this point in some cases, whereas you have a new team stepping up to the plate. You don't know what to expect from them. You don't know the play style to expect of that, and that's going to make those matches a little bit more unpredictable. I think, though, the mixed teams are definitely going to struggle here. Crossfire is a pretty hardcore game for those that play, especially here when you look at more like the Eastern countries and whatnot that play into it, and they take this very seriously. So,
and that's like a very good point, if I can jump in, is that people from the Western world are like, well, Eastern world doesn't play much FPSs. Well, no, they do. They just don't play the FPSs that you know about.
Yeah.
And they play at a very, very high level within these games as well. So it's not like they can't compete when it comes to playing against Westerners. They can actually beat them for the most part, and that's why we've seen China be such a dominating region.
To see if that will be the case here once again, as obviously it was proven different at the last event at Crossfire Stars 2018. The very team that sits on stage right now, not this one, but the Brazilians instead took the crown back in our last event that we had in December. And now it's time to see if they can repeat that feat, or if it's going to be another bumpy start to them, because like I was mentioning earlier, to be fair, they did have a pretty rough start to their group stage back at Crossfire Stars as well, so may not necessarily, if they lose this match, may not necessarily be indicative of their positioning overall in the tournament. We'll have to see it, later on into like tomorrow and whatnot, how they're going to be doing overall. And
we need to keep in mind that not only are they fighting to defend that title, but we also have RU Legends, a team from Russia who's looking to do better than their second place finish at Crossfire Stars 2018. So they're looking to maybe one-up themselves this time. We actually do have 4 matches being played all at the same time throughout today, except the last game, there'll be 2 matches in the 4th round. So we've got Carbon versus Golden 5 happening at the same time. On the same, this is all the same map for Black Widow. We also have Pacific, Macta, and Firma playing against RU Legends at the same time. And when we get into our second round of matches, we'll actually be covering All Gamers up against Golden 5. But before that, there'll be other matches being played on Ankara. You have All Gamers versus Trust. You got Golden 5 versus Super Valiant, Carbon versus RU Legends, Black Dragons versus Pacific Macta. So matches throughout the entire day, and then we'll obviously have Kyle and Lethal here as well. They'll be covering another match, I believe, at the end of the day, around 3, if I'm not mistaken, they come in. So I think they're covering one of the round 3s, or the round 4s probably. They'll be looking at probably All Gamers versus Pacific Macta, or Carbon versus Super Valiant.
Probably they might be doing that that Black Dragons versus RU Legends game too, as that's obviously a repeat of the final that we had back in CFS. So.
Which one? This one? No, that's tomorrow. That's tomorrow's game.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So, and they might be tomorrow. Who knows?
We might be doing that one too.
Yeah, we might be doing that as well. We're not really sure exactly. But it's going to be an interesting day. I think we're going to have an interesting couple of days here. I mean, I know it's been a while since we've casted Crossfire. For me, it's been actually a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken. But it looks like, from what I'm hearing, Blue, the game's ready. We're about to hop into this. We're about to kick off that first match of the day. It's the first round here. And we're going to see who's going to come out on top here.
It's time to begin it, folks. Like we said, it's been a long time since WCG has been back on the circuit, but it's time to get into it once again. The Chinese team's getting pumped up. We've also got Black Dragons, the 2018 CFS champions, getting amped up for this matchup. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Our first matchup of the day here at WCG 2019, the Black Dragons against All Gamers.
So Black Dragons will be starting off attacking here on the Blacklist side, and All Gamers will be defending on the Global Risk side. So we're looking for a little bit of a push in towards middle. I feel like these first couple of rounds are just going to take some time to figure out what people are doing. However, already AG come out off the bat with a 2-for-2 trade.
Black Dragons, though, still having a little bit of an advantage to play off of here. They've got ADRF relatively low, so they're going to have to be careful of that. But they'll move back for now, pull the pressure back up towards their spawn, and start to wrap over into the tunnels.
We have a 3-on-2, so we have man advantage in favor of Black Dragons. There should be a relatively easy push in towards one of these sites. And actually, the 2 players left for All Gamers, LXM and TMQ, are sticking together over towards a short area. And just as I said, they actually do spread out apart from each other. So trying to gather that really important information of figuring out where people are But with Black Dragons having the man advantage, look how cautious they're being. They're really checking every corner and making sure they don't lose this position. And they should be able to make their way through. There's no one there to defend, so they will get the bomb down here in a second.
We're down to the edge of the B house. Now it's time to work out onto the actual site here. We can see Team QQ trying to resist. He's a little bit disconnected from the action, though, still in mid. Whereas Black Dragons have almost entirely just gone into the site. However, here we go. LXM on the lurk right now. Plant going down in the meanwhile. That's going to get the bomb onto the ground. LXM trying to tap on a Will here. Having some trouble finding the shot, though. And he's going to take a lot of damage back onto him in the meantime.
This is going to be tough. At least both players are in the same position so they can push in, but things they can't pincer, but it doesn't matter. Black Dragons come out. Natsun coming out with 3 kills himself. And they take the first round. Now back into number 2.
So, good start for Black Dragons until they build on it into the second round here, of course. Obviously, things got a little chaotic at the beginning there. We saw both teams just kind of going at it in middle. And a little bit of pullback from Black Dragons. That's what they needed, though. I think if they threw the pressure back at mid, they might have ended up in a pretty poor trade there. So the readjustment over towards B, exactly what we need. Again, another quick fighters are going to try to push themselves up catwalk. It's going to go 2 for 1, though. ZQ with a double, though, as he pushes into mid. Finds both Danimals, ADRF, and now a third picked up by LXM. He's also going to be able to headshot out Will. The only Natsun in the fight now.
AWM up against 4 players can be extremely difficult here. Spots at the first, but can't connect on a ZQ, and he'll eventually fall. And unfortunately, the Black Dragons only able to get 1 kill in that round. But now things are going to be all tied up here between the 2 teams.
It's a 1-1, a close affair to start out the map. It's time to see, of course, all gamers. I think they're getting more aggressive, pushing into back B. Also trying to put pressure on Cat. One player, of course, going to get taken down, trying to move his way out from middle. It's LXM that ends up going down. And now 70kg. Also trying to move forward. TMQ and Danimals are going to trade. Danimals with the double, though, to bring it back here for Black Dragons. It's not going to stay that way for long, however. Uo also knocks out ADRF.
Let's see now. 3-on-2 situation. Trying to take their time here as the C4s make its way in towards the B side. They have that full control, so again, they're going to get the C4 down here in a second. And it's going to come down into the retake here for O and ZQ. Luckily for them, they have the AKs at least in hand to use. They've been able to push in towards the blacklist spawn, so they now know, obviously with that notification coming through, that the bomb is going to be down. But it's going to be so difficult to retake. There's going to be Danimals here waiting for the peak. Spots at the first, doesn't see the second though. So the information is not going to be there necessarily, but at least have the inkling of where they're going to be attacking from, where they're going to be trying to retake.
They've got good positions here, just generally good angles. The only thing that's going to be an issue is Natsun still out of position a little bit on the outside of the site. Will's going to find a 1-for-1 exchange with ZQ, though, and that only leaves ZQ in the fight. Nice pre-fire on the Danimals, gets some good damage. The problem is he's pinched if he tries to push back in. He's like got 10 seconds left to defuse as well, so yeah, just going to throw himself at it, and it goes pretty much as you'd expect. Danimals shuts out ZQ, and that's another round for the Black Dragons.
I like how Natsun actually took a couple of shots at the doorway, then backed off and like rotated back around to come from a different angle to really force that pressure. The problem is, if there was some sort of chance he could have pulled off the 1v1 to the man in sight, that would have been a very tough kind of feat to be able to pull off the 1v1 to defend. But the C4, it didn't have much time left anyway, so relatively good chance for Black Dragons to win the round nonetheless. But Natsun at 3-1, Danimals at 4-2. So we're definitely having our standout players so far. And TMQ has been having a little bit of a slow game. And yeah, we're 3 rounds in, so it's not too big of a deal.
Pretty slow rolling round in general here for the Black Dragons. Obviously probably going to be working their way out onto B relatively soon with the positionings that they currently have set up, but haven't actually gone in for the execute just yet. It's going to be changing soon. It looks like they were prepping up nades just a moment ago, and there we go. Flashes inside of the B house for these guys to try and work out onto. Moving in. AJ's not really taking the fight, though, to be completely honest. There we go, finally. Someone's going to get knocked out there. Will going to be able to take down TMQ.
Oh, nice shot. That's going to be the first. They're going to need much more than this to be able to defend it. As they have equalized at 4-4. The problem is the C4 has not been able to make its way in just yet. Black Dragons is trying to facilitate this, though. You can see that Will, the one currently carrying it, is finally able to make his way in towards the site. Should be able to get the C4 down here in a second. But can they defend? Because they have people flanking in from behind. They have one player in from the front. That's going to be 70kg, who has the AWM, which is going to be hard to hit these shots, but he does have that threat. Now pushing towards the back. Natsun's going to catch out. No one, unfortunately. ZQ gets that kill. As he looks at the second, but Vienna's going to be there. Shut that down. O is going to be there to return. And now it's down to a 2-on-2.
Cool. Also trying to work his way around here for an angle. Finds it against Will. Now we're into the 2v1. 70kg is going to finish it off. Just enough time left to get that defused. They'll have about 10 seconds in excess, and it's going to be AG once again returning the favor on the 4th round to tie us up.
It's 2 apiece here. You know, I really kind of am respecting the way that all gamers are played because they're pushing out like really aggressively to gather information, to really try to spot out anyone. You know, you look at other FPS titles, people will play a little bit more passive. especially when you're in equal footing. When you're down a man, you kind of need to push for that information, but they're more than keen to continue to look for players, and they've been able to flank behind the B side consistently, though it's not been able to work out for them as much as they've wanted so far. But either way now, into round number 5. See a lot of heavy presence out of the Black Dragon side towards middle. Just to make sure no one pushes out from there. I think it's more, though, pushing out from the A site. We've seen ZQ do that quite a few times.
And this explains why we're seeing AG put so much pressure on B2 as well. To be honest, Black Dragons really haven't attempted an A take too much just yet. So we're still waiting for them to do it. And even like Black Dragons really haven't decided where they want to take this. They left C4 back at spawn. They're going back to pick it up right now. So the decision's going to be made in a moment, but it is looking like they're going to shift over towards B again. So this is like the 4th or 5th round in a row now. They push the site.
Well, if it's not broken, why fix it? Then again, it's still just 2-2. It's
yeah,
not
I mean, they had
it's
like a 50-50 chance of making it so far. So.
Well, they got 2 players. They got actually 1 player kind of sitting out by himself. It's TMQ who's looking for like an early engagement through those windows. He's going to now be up towards the left-hand side. He's on the push. He's going to come through. Alex then there to help receive this, but they've not been able to get really much damage done. 70 kg's able to get 1, but unfortunately they've lost control of the site. 70 kg still going to be sitting towards the northern side here through the window looking for any snipe shots to be given. And the C4 has actually been dropped. It's not actually in the site just yet.
50 seconds remaining here for Black Dragons to work their way in. We've got a big flank coming in as well from ZQ, who's going to be right around the corner from these guys. He'll pinch into the house in a moment. It looks like we still have Will waiting in the well, though, right before you enter the B house. So more than likely they're going to be able to cut him off. In fact, it looks like they've caught on to it. You've got both Will and Danimals having rotated back now to cover that flank. The problem, though, is that, number 5 here, Knutson, he's going to have to hold off the entire flank coming in from 70 kg, and it just does not work out. Falls apart completely. Knutson's going to get flanked. AG shut down the post-plant hold and pick up a 3rd round, taking the lead for the first time in this game.
I mean, I kind of respected the push-in, though, towards the low side. To actually catch out, like, the 1 player flanking in that position to be able to, have, like, a 3-on-1 or a 3-on-2, so you clear one of the angles and you come back in and deal with the guy with the AWM. But it just didn't work out at all. They didn't really get any sort of connections there, and now Oggamer is able to take the lead for the first time here in this match.
Going to be another confrontation at mid to start this round off as ZQ manages to find that early pick against ADRF. Danimals, however, finds the trade just after that, but the problem is Knutson gets a little bit over-aggressive, tries to make a push-up cat into A, and now this is where AG's really going to be able to crunch on it. 3 more kills in their favor. No chance really for Will now, all alone in a 1v4. Doesn't even really have any initiation. He's going to try to move in. He's content to go for a plant right now. Unfortunately, that's not really going to work out too well for him. He gets pinched, and 70 kg picks up the last kill as all gamers continue to push forward.
And this aggression has just been catching them out consistently here, time and time again. We see them try to play like the slower style in the beginning, right? They sat back, sat outside the B house consistently, waiting for that push to come through, waiting to actually go for the execute. But when all gamers turn that aggression on, through mid doors or maybe from pushing towards A, they just haven't been able to deal with it or haven't been able to really expect it. And AG, they've been doing this like aggression just randomly. It's not like they're doing it every round. They're not being consistent. They're not being readable. And I really like this. And I think that's why we're seeing the 4-2 lead and really seeing how they've been grinding since CFS 2018.
Meanwhile, the opposite problems here for Black Dragons. They just keep trying the same thing. They just keep going for this B-Tech every single round. They are like varying the timings and the route that they're taking in order to get to B, but it's not enough. At the end of the day, AG can just hard push ZQ down long every single time, and he doesn't see anything. They see this executing B in a second. Yep, they're already rotating over. They're going to be in position to stop this. They know exactly what to expect at this point. LXM, TMQ. It's a very one-sided affair to start this off once again. 3-0 so far. Now 4 is 70 kg gets a knife on Will.
Now Xi'an, the last alive, is not going to be able to do anything. They only get 1 elimination across that entire round. The AG have shot out with 5 rounds to 2. It just seems like they have it read perfectly. Once those flashes, once the smokes come through, they rotate people back into the site. Then they have from 2 men and instantly up to 4.
So, build-up begins once again. AG's going to get hyper-aggressive this time, too. They didn't get pushed down. Cat, another player in mid. Alexem, though, is going to find himself knocked out as a result of that. Uo there to trade. He gets a double, in fact, and ZQ picks up the 3rd. Another one by Uo as well. That's 3 on the round for him, all on Will once again. Will, though, he's fighting back at it. Double kill for him. He's got it into a 1v2. He's going to try to fall back closer towards spawn to hopefully give him a longer range angle to play with here, but still, very, very carefully, he'll need to approach this.
I mean, look how cautious he's being. He's in his own spawn, and he just doesn't really have the safety to push out towards any direction. TMC's going to spot him out, and he's going to hit the shot. Now 5-4 for them, 6-2 in rounds. this is looking good here for All Gamers.
Very, very close at the end of the day on that round, but ultimately All Gamers do take control. And now enter the last round of the half here. The 9th round will be switching sides after this one. And again, Black Dragons, man, there's no variation on the strategy here.
Yeah.
Had a really great start to this half. We're battling back and forth, but became incredibly readable. And All Gamers has just shut it down in the later portion of the half.
Oh, again, 11-4 for this man who's been playing flawlessly so far across this first half. He pushed out aggressively towards B, catches him out of house, backs away. They have the man advantage now, and Black Dragons, I don't know what to say for them. Nade's going to come through directly on top of Vienna. And it's right in the pocket, down to 40 HP.
There's a newer player, if I recall correctly, as well for All Gamers, because I don't recall seeing him.
No, so he's ZY. So he just, I guess
he changed his name. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, according to the website, he has the same exact name, but I don't know if it's the same person. From what I heard from Kyle, it's the same person.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, that would make sense. So, just a bit of a name change, but either way, ZY still had a great performance back at Crossfire Stars 2, so we kind of expect him to take the lead on that front. Much slower round this time. TMQ is going to start alt here with, or actually rather find the second kill after a little bit of a delay. In the meantime, Black Dragons, well, they've split themselves up. They did have one player, it was Will, they're trying to put some pressure over towards Long at A, but as you just saw, he gets picked off relatively easily. Not much resistance coming in from him. Vienna is going to strike back here, is able to find TMQ. Daniels really winning a fight over LXM, and it's going to win it. Vienna with, of course, coming in for the assist right there. And now, the problem is they've left the bomb back just outside of Well, and they're going to have to send someone around in order to pick it up. This will give room for AG to actually push back into the site if they're so bold enough to try it. And at that point, Black Dragons are basically going to have to retake it all over again. Or they could, maybe throw a curveball here and try to go for A.
The thing is, they're so cautious, too, because they knew people were constantly flanking behind them. They left the player, or they didn't even leave the player inside of the site either, so it's not like they have the full control. They have to fully re-clear this yet again. You have ZQ waiting in a little window. Bomb has not gone down. He's looking for the push. He gets a lot of damage in, actually. Black Dragons not with a lot of HP remaining. But utility, we do have a nade left for Uwu, and we have ZQ with the smoke, so I think they have the opportunity to potentially push in, and there we go, the first frag's going to come through. Danimal's able to return down to 1v1, and ZQ just flies in and gets the final round of the half.
Plenty of time left for that defuse. They'll be able to take this easily. 7-2 is where we're going to end at halftime now. Black Dragons will go to the defense, hopefully giving them a chance to bounce back into this. But if not, we could potentially be looking at a very, very quick closeout here in the favor of All Gamers. We'll see. Second half's going to be coming up in just a second, guys, and we shall see if All Gamers is going to be able to continue to be as dominant as they're showing right now.
I think I don't know if it's them being dominant or if it's just Black Dragons like, hey, we're going to do the same strat 9 rounds straight. And even if they read into it, even if they start to prepare for it, we're still going to do it. I don't know why they continue to go that route. Maybe it's like some BM. Maybe they're trying to get in their heads or something, but it's clearly not working out for them. And now they have to play defensively here.
I mean, you can understand why they'd go for B. It definitely gives them easier access. There's a lot more room for flanking and whatnot if you try to push the A site too, if you don't cover both routes through Long and Cat. So you have those you can deal with. Maybe that played into why they were doing it. It's still very strange to literally just go for A for all 9 rounds, though. However, at the same time, All Gamer is going to be starting out in a very similar fashion, bursting out onto the B site. They move in, 70 KG and Uwo. Able to pick up some good kills, though. A 2-for-1 exchange at the end of the day. It's Will, Danimals, and Vienna now left for Black Dragons. All 3 boxed out of the site, either in mid or near the global risk spawn.
Because I feel like Black Dragons can't really afford to not play aggressively right now. Bomb's now down, but they still have 4 players left alive. 2 actually sitting back completely out of the site here, so they have the opportunity to retake. The problem is, it doesn't matter. All Gamers are able to eliminate them just as quick as the round started, and now they're up 8-2. They're almost able to close us out.
Yeah. 2 more rounds away here for All Gamers in order to take their first match in quite a convincing fashion and, give Black Dragons a pretty disappointing start, to be honest here, considering what we expected from them as the CFS 18 champions.
Yeah, so maybe it's just a bad day 1 for them. But the problem is you can't really afford to have a bad day 1 and then still get through into the semifinals. And just like that, they've lost 3 players off the bat. A 4th player as well, not seeming to be by himself and not for long, as All Gamers are now 1 round away from closing this out.
All right, All Gamers. So far, a good start and a bit of a disappointing one for Black Dragons. To be fair, like I said, was saying earlier, they did have a very similar turn of events back at Crossfire Stars 2018, but not sure if this is going to be so easy to turn around in later matches. We'll have to follow their progress a little bit more closely to see how, in fact, that ends up happening. Nonsense starts this off well, though, with the AWM, picks up an opening kill on Uwo. Animals able to find one as well, so finally a good start for the Black Dragons here. 70 KG and CQ are going to nearly turn this around now. This is not what Black Dragons needed to have happen. Players taking fights that may not have been the wisest to take at the end of the day. And now it's all left to Notson and Will to hold off against ZQ and LXM.
Luckily, they've been able to regroup, though. So they're able to actually stick together, hopefully get the refrag. But the problem is they have not really have the luxury anymore of rounds to give. So C4 making its way there in a few seconds. LXM's able to cross in towards the site. Again, they have so much time to play with, so they're not really in a hurry just yet to get this down. They can try to force a mistake by the Brazilian team, the Black Dragons. I think this might be go time. ZQ looks like he might be able to get across with the C4. He does. There's a flank actually coming in, so the two players who are sticking together now have actually sent one player off by himself. That's going to be Will for the flank, and they're going to lose out on the other player defending the site. That's Notson. Now it's going to come down to a 1v2.
And it seemed like Will was in position to push a few seconds ago with his teammate. I don't know if there was a miscomm or they wanted to try and do it separately. Either way, Will's going to surprise. ZQ is going to be caught out as a result of that. Will also trying to take the duel against LXM. Not the easiest angle in the world to win, however. And now, LXM just come on out, man. Let's fight. He's in the open. That's ultimately going to be his demise, though, as it gives Will the angle he needs to safely pick up the kill. And, of course, with the extra 10 seconds remaining here, they're going to have no problem picking up the defuse. So Black Dragons will get on the board 2-1 here on their global risk side. 9-3 overall in the map so far here. As we're going to be moving into our next round. We'll take a quick look at the map here and see the split as all gamers. Actually going to throw some pressure out towards long, which, to be honest, we haven't seen any so far this game. So this will be a new affair having these teams fight out over here. 70kg is going to win the opening exchange, though, able to take down ADRF right through the mid doors and bring us into a 5v4.
And you basically have to commit for these aggressive plays, right? You have nothing left to give. It's high risk, high reward time. And look at that. Nice little drop through actually out of the short position. Was able to get Will down. Now down to a 5-on-2 here. This can be so tough to retake. Actually, you have to be very careful. Danimals is by himself trying to push in. Notson trying to get around towards short to help out. Danimals is going to fall. Now it's coming down to a 1-on-5, and Notson will get the first. But he still has 4 more players, and now 3, but he can't take down ZQ. And that's going to do it. All Gamers going to take the victory at 10-3.
Good start from all gamers, to be sure, and like we said, a bit of a weird one for Black Dragons.
I mean, it was 10-5 when they met at Crossfire Stars 18, when they met the group stage, so kind of reminiscent of what we saw previously.
Maybe we're going to see Black Dragons just go for the full repeat of their win there and start out with, to be honest, a pretty poor result here in match number 1. And that we'll have to see later on, both today and tomorrow, if the Black Dragons are going to be able to recover. Not the best start for Brazil, a great start for China, though, as all gamers take dominant control of their opening match.
I mean, history has repeated itself so far here at WCG 2019, the Crossfire Grand Finals, and we'll see if history will repeat for the Black Dragons. Maybe they can bounce back in their later matches. They still are going to be playing a couple of more times today. They play against Pacific Macta actually in their second round. Then round 3, they play against Trust. So they get to play against some teams that they maybe are more used to, maybe have a better chance against. But it's still going to be a tough game nonetheless here for every team. But all gamers, that's the start you wanted to have. And having your crowd here as well rooting you on whenever you get these kills is a fantastic sight.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the problem is, right, they're going up against that new team that people don't really know much about, and that's going to be a tough match. Even Pacific Wara, is a team coming from a region that has a lot of activity here, so I don't think that one's going to be an easy match either. They've got a pretty tough day ahead of them, and it's going to be a tough round robin to start off from. They might have to bounce back in the later stages of tomorrow and hopefully pick up a few more points there.
And the thing is, how do you bounce back when you only get to play 7 matches? And you have to be top 4?
Yeah, it's round robin, right? So, you got to be able to take out, at least half your matches. Hoping maybe for some wins in easier competition, but we'll have to see. Maybe they're looking to score wins against the NA teams, the European teams, or something like that.
It's always rough too whenever you start to lose games and then you start to bounce back and play better. The fate is out of your hands. It's not like, all right, we can win this match and qualify. It usually turns into, well, we have to win this match, and then these guys have to lose that match, and we have to hope that this team beats this team, and you don't want to be in that situation. You don't want that pressure on your shoulders of having to find some sort of a world where all the stars align and you do finally qualify through.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road here now if we don't see them quickly take back some victories in some of their later matches today. But like we said, All Gamer is a team that had a pretty disappointing run at CFS 2018 overall. First time we saw the Chinese teams in general go out in the group stage, so one-sidedly. And as a result of that, obviously seeing them take such a dominant match is a good thing. But like you were mentioning too, it's pretty similar to the result they had against the same team at Crossfire Stars 2018. So there's not much for us to talk about off of that just yet, because it could just mean we're leading up to the same exact thing we saw back at Crossfire Stars last year.
It's a possibility. I mean, we have Super Valiant coming up against playing against Trust next. which is the team that we were looking at like we don't really know much about. They're kind of newly formed, invited to the tournament. We don't know what they can really bring to the table, this Indonesian team. But then you have Super Valiant, and what we've been hearing from Kyle, that like these Chinese teams have been grinding hard. They realize, okay, we messed up at CFS 18. We have to step up here at WCG. And from what we've seen so far, all gamers have been able to do it. Has Super Valiant been able to do the same? They were undefeated in the Chinese regional qualifiers until they played against All Gamers, and they lost that match. So that was their only loss out of both these two teams, the Chinese teams that are here today playing. But it's going to be a tough one. They've seen their brethren do it in their first game, but can they as well? And Super Valiant, yeah, this will be their first match. It's not like they've already played a game today. This will be them coming in. We'll see what they can bring.
It's going to be fun to see how this all leads up over the course of today, how the rest of our teams do. We're going to be figuring that out. Like we said, guys, we got 3 matches to bring today. That's the end of our first one, but we're going to have 2 more. One coming up right after this, and we're going to get to show you the main stage. Just like I said before, it's very cool over there. We're going to get to show you the main stage a little bit later on in the afternoon today, and show off our 3rd and final match there.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty sick. We don't get to see the opening ceremony, I believe. It's actually gonna be done at the end of the day on the main stage.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly why it's not at the end of the day, but maybe that's like the kickoff of like the weekend, the kickoff of the main like part of the event, the main chunk of it. But again, like we were saying before, if you're not interested in Crossfire, we still have more games to come up today on this stage. I believe Hearthstone's next. I took a picture if you guys didn't see the schedule. I'm not going to show you the picture on the screen because that's weird.
Might be a little difficult to get the
So we have Hearthstone coming up after our next match, and then we have Clash Royale coming up with 4 games back-to-back, and then Dota 2. But that's just this stage. We still have, like you said, the main stage, which is completely other games being played at the same time. So there's a lot of games. If you're an esports fan in general, there's a lot to consume over the course of this weekend.
A lot of building up to be done here at WCG. Like I said, it's the first time in 6 years there actually has been a WCG, so it's very cool to see it coming back once again and seeing what they'll be looking to build for the future of this very prestigious event that's been going since the early 2000s, even back in the day there.
I'm really curious how the other teams are going to do throughout this tournament, just because, for instance, like Carbon, it's not really like their core 5 players. They had to bring in players from a couple other teams, from Killzone, from Rose as well. Then you have Golden 5, like the European team, the German team coming in with like half flip side, half penta. I don't know how these teams are going to do when it comes to playing these matches against teams like the Chinese teams in particular who don't really change rosters. So it's going to be a tough one, and I feel like, you know, maybe this is their first day. Maybe if you have like a lenient day 1, like Carbon is playing Golden 5, and then I don't know like if they're going to meet any of the Chinese teams today, because as far as I can tell here from the schedule, they actually don't play any of the Chinese teams today. So they have that chance to, actually, they do at the end of the day, Super Valiant, kind of look through really quickly. So they have the chance to like warm up, get into the mode, get into the tournament setting, and then get ready for their match. But how they're going to adapt and how they're going to come together is going to be tough. I think for Golden 5, I'm really interested to see how they have 2 in-game leaders. They have Flipside's in-game leader, and they have Golden 5's, or Penta's